that changes the trajectory of my life. And no doubt without that choice, you know, my feeling is I either would have been in jail or dead, I think. And for Dad, it was, you know, he'd kept his promise when he'd come back to get me. And he just looked me in the eyes, and obviously the expectation was that we would just go. And I didn't answer him straight away. And we continued to just stare at each other across, sitting on different couches.
I'm Andrew Rule, this is Life and Crimes. This is our third and final episode of the reminiscences of Peter Norris, whose book The Bank Robber's Boy is the basis of 3 episodes of Life and Crimes. In this final episode, Peter is going to talk to us about how he ended up being reunited with his sister in Shepparton and then embarking on a bit of a crime spree which led him to a fork in the road.
Yeah, g'day again, Andrew. Great to be back, and let's get this going again.
Peter, when we last spoke, you'd worked at a Kmart and you'd become a manager at the ripe old age of 11, nearly 12. Then you were with a group of homeless kids in Perth living on the streets. But that didn't last either. You'd got back to Victoria and was reunited with your big sister, Tina, in Shepparton.
Tina enrolled me into Shepparton High School.
Did she?
Yeah. Tried to do the right thing, and I went for a day.
Oh.
One day.
Yeah.
And then day 2, I decided that I would just start breaking into houses, which I did.
Oh, okay, right.
And the reason for that was that I knew that Dad would come back.
Yeah.
So I was collecting as much money as I could to ensure that we had some money when Dad arrived, that we could just go back on our adventures.
I see.
So at that stage,
you were planning.
I was planning.
Right. You weren't as keen on going to work as you had been.
Nah, look, I didn't think, that certainly my sister at the time felt like going to school was probably a better path.
Yeah, well, probably
for me,
true.
and, rightfully so.
And funny, your dad had been keen for you to work in Port Hedland.
Yep.
Rather than embark on a life of crime.
Yeah, that's
sense.
right.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that wasn't always the case. If you go into sort of earlier life in, certainly we were in Melbourne and we stayed at a flop house for a short while at Gordon House.
Gordon House, yeah.
And he'd encouraged me to commit a few crimes back then just to get us out of there. So,
what sort of stuff? Did he teach you things?
He did, yeah. So Melbourne Baths, if anyone remembers that.
Indeed.
So he had told me that I would be able to go into Melbourne Baths, and he was spot on. And that the suits of the time would put all their belongings into a locker.
Yeah.
And they would connect their locker key, which was on a safety pin, to their towel.
Right.
So while they were swimming laps, I could walk along and just rip these safety pins off the towels. Yeah. Because it had a locker number on it.
Yes.
And go in, and all their wallets and all their belongings were in there. And in a matter of 5 minutes, I'd got out with would have been about 8 wallets that I had in a little backpack.
Gold.
And just walked back out and, said g'day to the lady at the front, walked out the door, brought the wallets back to Dad, and we had a heap of cash, which helped survive a bit longer.
I see. So it was a mixture of motives and motivations. Yeah. So life with Tina, school lasts one day. There's a couple of things here. You've ended up being a reader. You were a reader who's written a book.
Yep.
At what point did you sort of learn to read and become that person that likes to lose themselves in a book and to read? Where did that happen, and who influenced you?
I think it was the gift, or certainly the use of the Never-Ending Story.
Right, the one that lady gave you.
That one that lady gave me,
Heather and Q.
Yeah, the one that she'd let me use, which was one of her son's books that had never been touched.
Do you remember the son's names?
Oh, no, I don't. No.
What about Dad? Her husband?
No, not really. But so anyway, she'd let me read this story, and I do remember that when Dad turned up to get me out that window, that I had considered taking that book with me, and this is another moment because I had that in my hand because I'd loved it so much, but then I had her enough respect for her to put it back on the bed and leave it.
Oh, good boy. But it ignited something in you?
Yeah, it did. Yeah.
The sense the story could be written
and just that you could lose yourself in that.
That infected you.
It did.
And you never really got disinfected.
No.
Okay.
No, and this is why, the only thing that I wanted to, when I was working at Kmart, the only thing I wanted to buy was something to read.
Yeah,
and at the time it was comic books.
Which is fine, because as long as you read stories, doesn't matter what they are.
No.
And when you were at Shep, when you were out pinching stuff, did you pinch books?
I didn't pinch books,
No.
but whenever I had money,
Yeah.
I used to go to the second-hand bookshop and buy copies of Foot Rot Flats and all those sort of things.
Murray Vale.
Yeah. So, and at the time they were obviously
very
cheap.
good.
Yeah, but they were great.
Very funny.
So I was always buying something from the bookshop.
I reckon I interviewed him once. Murray Vale.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's pretty cool.
Bloke. Yeah. And how did you sort of negotiate that from 12 to adulthood?
Yeah. So I got caught breaking into a detective's house. So that was a really great choice.
What was his name?
I don't know.
In Shep?
In Shep.
Not Norm Gillespie? Not Ken Mansell?
The reason I don't know is because I got caught by his son. So I got caught in the house. So there was nobody home. And his wife and his son came home. So I remember I was in a room which was clearly a boys' room, and there was some martial arts trophies and things in there. And it was strange because...
Was it a nice house out on the edge of town?
It was, yeah. And I remember Dad had always told me to have an escape. Make sure, and that was one thing, always make sure you've got a way out before you. And this house had a deadlock on the back door, which I didn't know at the time. And I'd broken some louvers to get in around the backyard. And I'd completely forgotten about how I would get out if someone come home. Just completely forgotten. And anyway, a car pulled up in the driveway and I heard a front door opening. And I ran to this back door. It was deadlocked.
Oh.
Had no way out.
Oh, dear.
Ran straight back into the bathroom, and there was a small window which I had to stand on the vanity to get out of. And by then, this boy had flown into this bathroom. I got out, and he ran outside and pulled me down off the fence as I was climbing over.
Oh, right.
But anyway, this lady sat me in the backyard on a chair, and rather than being angry at me, I think the young fella wanted to punch me in the nose.
Yeah.
And she just looked at me and said, what's a boy your age? What are you doing? And I was just, probably a little bit defeated at the time, and just said, look, I'm just waiting for Dad. I'm just stealing some things until Dad gets back. And then the way they realized, the police turned up, they called the police and they called her by name.
Oh, right.
And then things started to click, and then they put me in the police car and they went, yeah, well done, idiot. That's a detective's house. And they drove me around Shepparton for a bit because there'd been this spree of break-ins.
This would be about mid-80s?
Yep. I should look, because I've got all these files. I haven't actually been through them. So I've got my State Ward case file. So all the police officers involved in this will be listed in that.
That's amazing.
So I just need to probably open them up, and it's all in there. So I will be able to know who it was and who interviewed me when I got back to the station and all those sorts of things. So
was the son a big, strong, red-haired sort of bloke?
He's fair-haired. I remember that. I don't know about red hair, but he was a really strong kind of young guy. I knew I had no hope of getting away from him.
All these reddish, fair-haired boys, bluey-eyed, big, strong, tough blokes,
right,
and all footballers. And one of them got done for murder in Perth.
Yeah, okay.
He's doing time over there now.
Right.
Rebus the Cropper's bad son.
Could have been him.
Yeah.
Maybe I was lucky.
Yeah. So you get into strife over that.
Yep.
Did you go into an institution?
No. I didn't actually. So what happened was, this wife of the detective, she knew of a foster family who potentially would take me in for 3 weeks.
Really?
It was just not a predetermined term at that stage. She just said, I think it's, rather than being too hard on him.
Rather than go back to Tina.
Yeah, or rather than go back to Tina. Let's send him off to this family and just let him cool down. He was a bit of a hothead as well. And so I was sent to a family on a dairy farm in a small, dairy farming community of Gagari, which is a small town outside of Coabram, not far away from Shepparton.
Yeah. How was that?
Look, it was meant to be 3 weeks, beautiful family. They had 6 biological children of their own,
Hearts
2 girls and 4 boys.
Big hearted, mate. Yeah.
Ready to take another one in. And, in that 3 weeks, I stole their car. So one night, wheeled it pushed out of the driveway and took it for a drive into Kyabram, which was about 20 kilometres away, and took it for a spin, and was just an idiot. Got caught doing that by the police. A few other things in that 3 weeks. And so when that 3 weeks was up, I'd expected that they would have been pretty happy to see the end of me. But Joan Dullard was her name, the mother, and Jack Dullard, the dairy farmer, sat me down and said, would you like to stay and go to school and start to live a normal life, play footy and do all those things? And I think it was probably at that time when my brain was starting to tick a little bit differently that I knew it was time to make some better choices. So I said yes.
And you did?
And I did.
You stayed with the Dullards?
And I stayed there.
Wow,
yeah.
How good's that? How long did you stay there?
For the rest of my childhood.
No.
Yeah, that was it.
How good are they? You still friends?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Jack Dullard, my foster father died of cancer, but she's in her 90s.
Really?
And living on her own in a little unit in Kyabram, half blind, but still kind of...
Still says hello when you go?
Yeah, it was there. Yeah, due to go back.
Were you younger than her children?
I was... She had one child, Elizabeth, younger than me.
Right.
So we're all about... Yeah, so I went to year 8 at St Augustine's in Kyabram. That's where they sent me.
Right.
Their youngest daughter was in grade 6 at the time. So.
Okay. Good on them.
Yeah.
Yeah,
great family. And
so you went to which school then?
St Augustine's.
St Augustine's. So
Yep.
you just said it, I'm sorry. And you went there till what level? And
so that school finished in year 10.
Yeah.
And then we all transferred across to Kyabram High School where I finished year 12.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah.
Kai High.
Yep.
Played footy?
Played footy
They love their footy up there.
Kyabram Bombers.
Of course they did. Of course you did.
Yeah.
Even though you're from the north, you turned into an AFL player or VFL player.
Yeah, I hadn't sort of touched a footy until year 8, until about that age.
You got the right bill for it?
Got the right build for it. And
what position did you play?
I played centre half forward at Kai.
Did you?
Yeah.
Oh, very handy.
Yeah.
That's the big position.
Yeah.
It's the Wayne Carey one.
Now, as a 6'1" or whatever, you wouldn't hold that down these days. You'd be lucky to be a midfielder. But
you'd be all right at Kai.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, that's good. Peter, you are managing what?
CEO of Club Corowa, which is a licensed club, licensed hospitality venue with poker machines and bars and restaurants. And
how many staff are you running there?
Almost 100.
So this means that Warren in Port Hedland had you pegged as an 11-year-old as that sort of guy.
He did.
He worked it out. How many years did it take you from 11 to when you got the big gig at Corowa?
Yeah. Corowa. Yeah. Took a little while. The Dullard family, who were so nice to me, had to take me to court for all those break-ins that I'd performed.
Yeah.
And I remember the judge at the time said to me, I don't know whether you're the worst 12-year-old criminal I've ever come across, or you're just a kid who's had a bad start in life. And again, that was a bit of a pivotal message for me, that it was time to make some changes.
Was that in Shep?
I was in Shep, yep.
And that was
Shep Magistrates Court.
A Shep Magi, okay.
Yep.
That was a good thing.
It was a good thing.
Gave you. I suppose they looked at you and you didn't look like a complete reptile.
Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, I think probably saw something in me that...
Well, you've got a sort of an open face.
Yeah.
You don't look as if you're going to walk up and knife somebody.
No. So I received a good behaviour bond for that.
Yeah.
And some money that I sort of had to pay back, restitution for broken windows and things that I'd stolen along the way, which was about $1,600 at the time.
Yeah.
When I had a job cleaning up a butcher shop on a Friday night that gave me $10 a week.
Right.
So I was meant to put half of that away.
Right.
And gradually pay that back.
You gradually paid it off.
Yeah.
You've always been a worker. So the total sum lesson is that over the journey you've had some very bad treatment and awful things happen to you, but you've also had these moments where people have been very good and very kind.
Mm.
The waitress with the muffin.
Yeah.
You've had a few lucky breaks as well as unlucky breaks.
I've had plenty of lucky breaks, and I think it's just that ability to see the light in the darkness sometimes, and even when I was sitting in Baltara you know, and on the receiving end of some pretty horrific abuse.
Yep.
I still managed to know that there were better days ahead. It's just in my psyche, whether that was, you know, can't really explain that, but kept constantly finding the positives in any situation. I still do now.
Hi, it's Gary Jubilant here. Do you want a real and raw look inside the world of crime? Well then check out my podcast, I Catch Killers, where I interview people from all sides of the law.
I draw my firearm and I went into fight mode. I wanted to find and confront this gunman.
I'm not getting verbal, am I?
I shouldn't have trusted you. See, I'm trying to open my mind up to defence barriers.
I know, it's just begging to be said.
Yeah, fair call, fair call. We have amazing guests every week. Search for I Catch Killers wherever you get your podcasts.
You're, to be sort of brutal about it or practical about it, your father's troubles to some extent would probably go back to, you'd say, gambling. A gambling addiction.
Yes.
A lot of people have different addictions, so that was his.
Yep.
He wasn't a heavy drinker.
No, definitely not.
You haven't been saddled with an addiction?
Yep, I reckon I have.
You have?
Yeah.
What?
And I think mine's a different addiction. Mine is, I'm trying to find the best way to say this, my addiction is if I'm going to do something, it has to be done to the absolute top. Maybe not even my abilities at the time. A good example is I was doing some running on a running track.
Yeah.
And I run past, there's an athletics coach there, and I'm watching him teach people how to do pole vault.
Yeah.
And he says, do you want to try this? Now I'm in my 40s at the time.
Yeah.
Do you want to crack? And I went, yeah, I'll try. And I was terrible, as you would be. Like, pole vault's not an easy thing to learn.
No.
You know, so I spent the next year just turning up and pole vaulting and pole vaulting and pole vaulting until I went to New Zealand and competed in a pole vaulting competition and won a gold medal.
Did you?
You know, in 2023, I decided after COVID, I was a runner, that I'd try bodybuilding.
Yeah.
And I so turned up at a bodybuilding comp in Melbourne, actually, and, won some silver medals, and I'm not done.
Oh, I need to win gold.
I need to win gold.
You're kidding.
Went back in.
You are addicted. Yeah.
Went back last year and won 6 gold medals in bodybuilding, and
right.
I said, now I'm done.
Now I'm done. Now I can write books.
So that's the one thing that I have realised is for me is to identify the thing, or not just for me, for lots of people, to identify the thing that you want to achieve the most. You know, so a lot of people have these, multiple things floating in their lives that they like to do, and I think
I'll pick one off and do it. Good
advice is to pick one off and do it.
Is that right?
Yeah.
That's one. We've got everything out of this interview. We've got, how to be a crook, how not to be a crook. We got the lot.
Yeah. Well, someone said to me the other day, just again, not just an off story, he said, I've been thinking about buying a muscle car, Pete. He goes, but I've been thinking about it for bloody years. Why haven't I done it? And I said, well, is that the thing you want to buy? Is that the thing you want to do the most, or is there other things? And he said, well, no, it's probably not at the top. And I said, well, that's why you haven't done it. Like, identify the thing you want the most and do it.
Do that. Oh, you're a life coach. Hey? You could be.
I'm something.
You could be a life coach. Now, we mentioned the book here and there, but how did this one come about? When did you start writing it? How did you start writing it? Is it 2 o'clock in the morning with, a laptop or a notebook on top of the grandstand, or what?
Yeah. The idea of it came up a few years ago.
Yeah.
And it was generally just the thought of I could probably write a book about all this, and in the hope of telling my story and helping some people around the power of choice and decision making, because ultimately, I make a huge choice in my story, in my life, that changes the trajectory of my life, and no doubt without that choice, my feeling is I either would have been in jail or dead, I think.
Absolutely. No doubt. Yep.
No doubt. So the power of choice. And the reasoning behind that is, without thinking about it, we all face, these multiple choices every day that change the trajectory of our day, of our life, of our, our journey. So just so powerful of something that we don't always think about. We just do. Yeah. So that was the reason. The how is a little bit different because I wasn't a writer. I wasn't an author. Clearly I am now.
You are now.
Yeah. So I reached out to, I've got a mentor, Mark Dobson, who has helped me along a little bit, just business stuff, and a really good bloke. And he seems to know everybody. So I reached out to him and said, I want to write a book. And he goes, yeah, well, I can't help you, but I know someone who can. So there's an author, filmmaker, Dr. Luke Jackson, who linked me with, who helped me plan. I think if it was just me, I would have just typed chapter one, and then just started writing. And he said, no, we need to plan it out, which was the best advice I've ever been given. So anyone who hasn't written a book and wants to.
You sat down with him and said, chatted about it, and then...
Probably for 2 months,
really?
Actually.
Okay. And
off and on, a few hours a week.
You whiteboarded it. You
whiteboarded it.
Yeah.
And by the time we'd finished that, I had this complete plan that whenever, so chapter 1, I knew exactly what stories I was going to put in chapter 1, chapter 2, and so on. And every now and again, writing chapter 1, I would just be sort of morphing into chapter 2. So then I'd go back to the plan and go, okay, I was actually meant to finish back there.
Okay. So you could see it sort of taking shape.
I could see it taking shape, yeah. So without that plan, I think I might have got there, but it probably wouldn't have been as clean and flowing as it is.
As it is.
So that help was,
It's deceptively simple looking, which is what the best writing is, of course, it's clear. But it pulls the reader through it because it has the appearance of being that natural story, which of course the art of it is to disguise all the joins.
Exactly.
All the invisible mendings invisible.
Yeah, and they're the things that I said to him. I said, I want to keep it authentic. I don't want the facts to change because they're as I remember them.
Yes.
So I don't want any kind of creative liberty from your side as an editor. I just want, I want some help, maybe helping it flow or pulling it together, but don't change the stories.
And that's Dr. Luke Jackson is in Albury or Wodonga?
No, he's Melbourne-based.
Melbourne-based, okay.
Yeah.
Oh, well, that's interesting. So he's been a bit of a mentor to you.
He was a mentor for me.
So along the way, you've struck some very good people.
Yes.
If we leave the bad people out.
Yep.
I guess your Nan and Pop were bob each way, maybe, but they were there.
They were there. No hard feelings for them.
Heather that gave you the book in queue.
Yep.
And all the way through the Port Hedland manager, Warren.
To Warren. Yep.
And then of course the family,
the Dullard family, and the Dullard family, had the greatest impact of anyone on my life.
At a time when you could have got totally off the rails.
Oh, absolutely, and and quite openly without their involvement in my life, it would have been very different. And just that, that hand of kindness to say, stay, we've got you, you're part of our family, and to never feel like I wasn't part of the family.
That's wonderful.
If they bought clothes for their kids, then I got clothes as well. If they got an ice cream, I got an ice. Just simple things, but just to feel like you belonged.
Practical Christianity.
Yeah.
Has that given you a sort of a belief system, seeing their example?
I'm not a Christian, but it's certainly given me a belief system in kindness,
treating others as you would be treated,
and just not missing just those small opportunities of kindness that you may not realise the impact that they have on someone's life, as small as they might be, and that is sometimes it might be. For me, sitting down with a homeless person who everybody walks past, and I've done that a number of times, and one of those conversations was a homeless man who used to be a lawyer who decided one night to drink drive and wiped out a family.
Oh, right.
And that was his punishment to himself, was that he didn't deserve a bed, didn't deserve to be warm. So he was sitting on the pavement, punishing himself for the rest of his life.
Where was that?
That was in Melbourne. Just on Collins Street.
Is that right? Oh, that is,
So there's moments of kindness, and for me just to sit and have a conversation, and who knows what impact that had for him, but that's just one moment. But in terms of the book, it was 300 or 400 words a night. 300 or
400 words a night. That's not a bad tally if the words are okay.
Yeah, that's it. Well, I found after that the quality would drop off for me. Yep. I know other people, I've spoken to other authors who seem to be able to punch out thousands, but for me... They don't punch out thousands of very good words. Of quality, And of course, the other part of this was that me finishing a chapter, and some of the stories in there are quite difficult to read, and I would just flick them to Luke Jackson to edit, and then he would send me a message going, bloody hell, Pete, like this is heavy, and I've now thinking about the impact on my kids, and I'm like, oh, you know, because I would just write it and then just go, that's not my problem anymore, that's yours. Send it off for editing, and he would sit there and, you know, not sleep for the night. So, but yeah, you know, without his help, yeah, you know, certainly when I got there.
Peter, the one thing we haven't approached, and listeners will be wondering this, we know that your mother disappeared, either ran away or whatever, but what happened to your father?
Yeah, so as I was living with the Dullards, you know, and going to school and playing footy and, you know, and, yeah, starting to live a normal life, Dad featured on, you know, a TV show called Australia's Most Wanted, for those that remember that. Dad was the main criminal featured. He was first up on that TV show. I was sitting in the lounge room with the Dullard family, and up popped Dad's face, which was, for me, obviously a shock to see Dad on TV, but instantly I knew that he was no longer in jail. I hadn't known that he'd escaped. I hadn't been told that. And, you know, for those that get the chance to read my book, The Bank Robber's Boy, you'll see that Dad continues to make this promise that if he gets out, he's coming back to get me. So I knew that would be the case. I would spend every second weekend at my sister Tina's house. So one weekend, not long after Dad featured on Australia's Most Wanted, I went to her house and she put me in the car and, you know, drove circles around Shepparton to ensure she wasn't being followed. And, yeah, it took me to this sort of nondescript unit with no furniture in it. And, you know, we walked inside and, yeah, Dad walked out of a bedroom and, you know, we hugged and, yeah, and obviously had, you know, just this moment of you know, this amazing moment of being back together again. And that went on for a short while, every second weekend. And there was one moment when I went there and I'd been asked to bring some extra clothes by my sister. And, you know, Dad sat me down and said, look, I can't stay here any longer. The police are going to eventually realise that I'm going to be hanging around where my children are. We need to go. And this was the pivotal decision in my life. And for Dad, it was, you know, he'd kept his promise. He'd come back to get me. And he just looked me in the eyes, and obviously the expectation was that we would just go. And I didn't answer him straight away. And we continued to just stare at each other across, sitting on different couches. And I eventually just looked him in the eye and said, Dad, I can't do that anymore. Can't do this anymore. And I wanted better for myself. And look, he had tears running down his eyes. I mean, he didn't say much. And he gave me a quick hug and walked out the door. And he was apprehended not long after that and returned back to Fremantle jail. It was a few months and he started writing letters to me, and I noticed in the letters that his handwriting was getting a little messy and his recollection of events was getting a little vague. And, yeah, so he had early onset Alzheimer's. Yeah. Yeah, and was moved to a sort of a jail infirmary and, passed away in there.
What year was that?
That would have been in probably 89, I reckon.
Well, you've written a book, The Bank Robber's Boy, by you, Peter Norris. Other people have helped you along the way. I think you've mentioned nearly all of them. It's a remarkable thing, and I'm pleased I ran into you at that little writers' festival, because had I not done that, I may not have got to read it or to talk to you.
Yeah. No,
so we thank you for coming all this way. You've come from Albury-Wodonga via Tasmania just to talk to us.
Yes.
And I know that our listeners will be fascinated by your rise and rise from a place that could have been very dark.
Yeah.
And could have ended very badly.
Could have been, yeah. But again, those small acts of kindness along the way have been super important to where I am today. So be grateful for those.
Yeah. Thanks, Peter. Thanks for listening. Life and Crimes is a Sunday Herald Sun production for True Crime Australia. Our producer is Jonty Burton. For my columns, features and more, go to heraldsun.com.au/Andrew Rule, one word. For advertising inquiries, go to newspodcastssold@news.com.au. That is all one word, newspodcastssold. And if you want further information about this episode, links are in the description.